My wife and her backup dancer lover embezzled over $250, $0 from our family estate, then turned around and sued me for custody claiming I was unfit. Now I just found out they're planning to sell our home and split the money, all while I'm drowning in court fees. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am, trying to piece together how everything fell apart so fast. The craziest part. It all started with a gut feeling, like a whisper in the back of my mind that I kept ignoring because I didn't want to believe it. But then I saw the text messages, the photos, the bank statements, and that's when I knew my wife, Emily, was cheating on me. And not just with some guy, she was cheating with her backup dancer, Jake. Yeah, you heard that right. My wife, who always claimed she was too busy with her career, was sneaking around with some young guy she met at a dance studio. We'd been married for over 10 years. I thought we had a good thing going, even if it wasn't perfect. Sure, there were signs I ignored, little things that didn't add up. She'd get defensive when I asked about her late nights or her secretive phone habits. She'd brush it off, say I was paranoid or that I was overthinking. But I knew better. I always had a feeling she was hiding something, especially after she started acting more distant, more bitchy, like she was annoyed by everything I did. I just thought she was stressed or maybe bored. I never imagined she'd actually cheat on me, let alone with some guy half her age, someone she met during her dance classes. It all came crashing down 2 weeks ago. I was rummaging through some papers in the office trying to get a grip on our finances. We've always been comfortable, never rich but stable. Our estate was modest but enough for us to live comfortably. But then I stumbled upon a series of bank transfers, large sums of money moving out of our account into some private account I'd never seen before. Over $250, $0 gone. I couldn't believe it. It looked like my wife and her lover had been embezzling from us, draining our savings while I was clueless. I was furious. How could she do this to me, to us? Confronted her that night. I remember standing there, my fists clenched, voice trembling with rage. I showed her the bank statements. Her face went pale, then red with anger. She tried to lie her way out, said it was a mistake, that I was paranoid, that I was accusing her of something she didn't do. But I had proof. The messages I found on her phone, texts from Jake talking about making sure Emily gets her cut, and plans to sell the house and split the money. She looked me dead in the eyes and lied, saying she and Jake were just friends, that he was helping her with her career, that I was overreacting and jealous, that she was done with Jake, that it was just a fling, a mistake. But I knew better. I saw the photos she took of herself with Jake, the texts where she called him her secret, and the flirtatious messages that made my stomach turn. I felt like I was in some nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The betrayal cut deep. Not just because she was sleeping with someone else, but because she was stealing from us, our future, our stability. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of lies and deception. And what made it worse? The fact that she was planning to sell our house, our home, the only thing left that was ours, and split the money with Jake. I found out about this only after I hired a lawyer to look into the estate's finances. Turns out they'd been planning this for months, pretending everything was fine while they plotted their escape. This wasn't just about infidelity anymore. It was about betrayal on a whole new level. I felt like I'd been hit in the gut with a sledgehammer. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly, turn her back on everything we built? The worst part, her arrogance. She kept insisting she was the victim, that I was controlling and jealous, trying to paint herself as the innocent wife. But I knew the truth. I saw her for what she was, selfish, manipulative, and completely heartless. Now I sit here, drowning in court fees, trying to figure out how to save what's left of our life. She's already moved out, and I hear she's meeting with some real estate agent to put the house on the market. I can't believe I trusted her for so long. I thought we had a solid marriage, but it turns out I was just a fool. The betrayal is so raw, so real, I don't even know how I'm supposed to pick up the pieces. All I can think about now is how to fight back, how to make her pay for what she's done, and how to protect what's left of my sanity in this mess. After the initial shock started to wear off, I realized I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I had to act fast. I hired a private investigator to dig into Emily's dealings with Jake. At first, I just wanted to confirm what I already suspected. She was cheating on me and had been embezzling money. But what I found out was even worse. They weren't just having an affair. They'd been planning to run off with the money from the start. I learned that Emily had been funneling cash into a secret account, one she kept hidden from me, and Jake was right there with her, helping to cover her tracks. I remember the day I got the proof vividly. Investigator handed me a stack of photos, emails, and bank statements. Emily and Jake cozy together in some hotel room, laughing and sharing drinks. The emails, they were full of talk about how they were going to split the estate, how Jake was ready to start a new life with her, how Emily was done pretending for my sake. It was like a punch to the gut every time I looked at them. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all this? How could I have been so blind? The worst part was the realization that they'd been planning this for months. While I thought she was working late or going to dance rehearsals, she was secretly meeting Jake, plotting their escape. They talked about selling the house, splitting the cash, and starting fresh somewhere else. I found out she'd even taken out a loan on the estate, something she never told me, and used that to finance their getaway. It was like I was living in some bad movie, except it was real, and I was the only one left in the dark. When I confronted Emily with the evidence, her reaction was nothing short of infuriating. She cried, she yelled, she called me paranoid, accused me of not trusting her. She insisted Jake was just a friend, that I was overreacting because I was possessive and controlling. She even tried to turn it around on me, claiming I was the one who was unfaithful or neglectful. Honestly, I was so furious I could barely speak. How dare she lie so blatantly? How dare she try to make me the villain after what she'd done? I told her she was done, that I wasn't going to let her get away with this. That I'd take her to court, fight for everything, and make sure she paid for her betrayal. That was the moment I decided I was done being the naive husband. No more excuses. No more turning a blind eye. I was going to fight for what was mine, our house, our savings, our dignity. The thought of losing everything, especially the home where we'd built memories, made my stomach turn. But I knew I couldn't just let her walk away with the money, the house, and her lover. Over the next few days, I started gathering all the evidence I could: texts, bank records, emails. I hired a lawyer and prepared to go to court. I also started to plan how I'd confront her again, this time with everything laid out on the table. I wanted her to see that I wasn't going to be played for a fool anymore. I wanted her to realize that her lies and manipulations had consequences. In the meantime, Emily kept up her act, crying, begging, saying she loved me, claiming she was sorry. But I wasn't buying it. Deep down, I knew she'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. She was no victim. She was the one who had orchestrated this whole betrayal. The more I found out, the more clear it became. She'd been using me, lying to my face, pretending to be the perfect wife while secretly plotting her escape with Jake and our money. It's hard to describe the feeling of betrayal, of being completely deceived. I used to think we had a good life, a future. Now I see it was all a lie. I don't know what's worse, her cheating, her stealing, or the fact that I trusted her so blindly. Every night I lie awake, trying to process how I let it get this far, how I didn't see the signs, how I was so stupid to think she was faithful and honest. The pain is real, and I know I'm going to have to find a way to move on, but right now, all I feel is rage, rage at her, at Jake, at myself for not seeing it sooner. The day I found out about the sale plans hit me like a freight train. I'd been in court fighting her custody case, another story entirely, when I got a call from my lawyer. Turns out, Emily had already signed the papers to put the house on the market. She was planning to sell it within the next 2 weeks, split the proceeds with Jake, and just disappear. That's when I realized how much she was willing to throw away, our home, our life, everything we built, just to run off with her lover and some stolen money. I felt this gnawing panic, like everything I cared about was slipping through my fingers. I didn't even know how to process it all. I'd been so busy fighting her in court, trying to protect my rights, that I hadn't fully grasped how far gone she was. Now, in one swift move, she was about to destroy what was left of our stability. I had to act fast. I contacted my lawyer immediately and told him I wanted to stop the sale, to freeze any transactions related to the house. I needed to buy myself some time to figure out my next move. In the days that followed, I started digging into the legal options. Turns out, because she was planning to sell without my consent, since I was still technically the owner, I might have a chance to block the sale, but it wasn't going to be easy. She'd already contacted a real estate agent, and I could see that she was dead set on walking away with the money. That's when I realized I had to do something drastic. I couldn't just sit back and watch her take everything. I decided to file for an emergency injunction, something to stop the sale until I could prove her theft and get my share of the estate back. While all this was happening, I was also trying to keep my emotions in check, but it was impossible. Every time I thought about her lying, manipulating, stealing from us, I felt this intense mixture of anger and heartbreak. How could she do this? How could she turn her back on everything we'd shared? I used to think she was the love of my life, someone I could trust blindly. Now I saw her for what she really was, a liar, a thief, a user. I was drowning in a sea of betrayal and I didn't know how to come up for air. Meanwhile, Emily kept up her act, pretending to be the hurt wife, crying about how things just happened, how she still loved me, and how she never wanted it to come to this. Yeah, right, I saw right through her. She was orchestrating her escape, using tears as a weapon, trying to guilt me into backing down. But I wasn't falling for it. I was done being played. I knew she was trying to manipulate me into dropping the fight, but I had made up my mind. I was going to fight for what was ours, no matter what. I also started gathering evidence of her plans to sell the house. I found emails where she discussed the listing with her agent, notes about how she'd split the money, and even some text messages where she told Jake she was ready to leave everything behind. It was all laid out plain as day. She was planning to abandon me and the house, cut her losses, and run away with Jake and the cash. That realization made me sick. It was like she was willing to destroy everything for her new life with him. I couldn't help feeling betrayed on every level. I thought I knew her, thought we had a partnership, a future. But it was all a lie. She'd been sneaking around, stealing from me, and now she was about to sell our home like it was nothing. I kept asking myself, how did I get here? How did I miss all the signs? How could I have been so blind? I know I should be angry, and I am, so angry I can't sleep some nights. But underneath that, there's this deep sadness for what I lost, what I'll never get back. I've come to realize that sometimes the biggest betrayals don't just come from the affair or the theft. They come from the realization that the person you trusted most in the world was capable of such deception. It's a hard lesson, but one I'm starting to accept. I can't change what she did, but I can control how I respond. I'm not going down without a fight. I owe it to myself to protect what's left, to hold on to what little dignity I have left in this mess. And somewhere deep inside, I know I'll come out of this stronger, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. The legal battle was taking up most of my days now. I spent hours on the phone with lawyers, trying to piece together the best way to stop Emily from selling the house. Every lawyer I talked to confirmed what I already suspected. She was trying to pull a fast one, and I needed to act quickly. I filed an emergency injunction to freeze the sale, but I knew Emily wouldn't give up that easily. She was already moving forward, coordinating with her real estate agent, probably getting ready to sign papers that would finalize her escape with Jake and our money. Meanwhile, I started to see just how far she was willing to go. I found out she'd already transferred some of the stolen money into offshore accounts, accounts I couldn't access, hidden behind layers of shell companies and fake names. It was like she was trying to cover her tracks, but I had a good investigator working on tracing those funds. I knew she thought she was clever, but she underestimated how determined I was to get justice. Her reaction was classic: denial, blame shifting, crying, and then outright anger. She called me a controlling asshole, accused me of ruining her career, and said I was crazy for trying to stop her from moving on. She even accused me of cheating, which was laughable, considering her own infidelity was the reason I was in this mess. But that's her style: twist everything around, make me the villain, and pretend she's the victim. Honestly, I was sick of her lies. I'd caught her in so many, I'd lost count. I remember sitting in my lawyer's office, feeling this mix of frustration and despair. I'd poured everything into this marriage: my time, my trust, my savings, and now she was just throwing it all away. It was like I was fighting a war I couldn't see, against an opponent who was willing to burn everything to get her way. But I refused to give up. I had to find a way to stop her from selling the house to get my fair share and to hold her accountable. One of the most shocking things I uncovered was her plan to lie about the money. She told her agent she was just refinancing the house, trying to disguise the fact that she was actually liquidating our estate. She even had a fake story prepared about needing the cash for her career, which was a complete lie. I knew she was desperate to cover her tracks, but I had enough evidence to blow her whole story apart. I just needed to hold on until the court date to prove her deception. The emotional toll was brutal. I'd wake up every morning feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The betrayal cut so deep, it was like she'd taken a knife and stabbed me in the back. I kept replaying everything, the late nights, the secret calls, the way she'd lied to my face. It was hard to accept that the woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was capable of doing something so cold and calculated. I felt anger, grief, and a strange sense of numbness all at once. Sometimes I'd sit in silence for hours just trying to process how everything went so wrong so fast. But I also started to realize something else. This wasn't just about her cheating or stealing. It was about her complete disregard for what we had built, for the vows she once took seriously. I kept asking myself, did I ever really know her? Was this always hiding just beneath the surface? It's a painful truth, but I'm starting to accept that some people are capable of betrayal on a scale you never thought possible. And the worst part, I was the one who let her get away with so much for so long. Now I'm in this fight for my life, my home, and whatever dignity I can salvage. Every day is a battle, but I refuse to let her win. I'm determined to expose her lies, to stop her from selling the house, and to get justice for what she did. I don't know how this will all end, but I know I won't go down without a fight. The betrayal has changed me forever, but I'll find a way to move forward somehow. I owe myself that much. The court hearing to freeze the sale of the house was intense. Emily showed up, looking all fake tears and anger, trying to play the victim again. She claimed I was trying to ruin her reputation, that I was twisting her words, and that I was just bitter because she was leaving. The judge listened carefully, but I had all the evidence, texts, bank records, emails showing her true intent. When my lawyer laid it all out, it was clear she was planning to sell the house behind my back, split the money with Jake, and disappear. The judge granted the injunction. For now, I had some breathing room, but Emily wasn't done. She started making threats, saying she'd fight me tooth and nail, that I'd never get a penny, that I was just jealous and controlling. She even accused me of infidelity again, trying to muddy the waters. Honestly, I was past caring about her lies. All I cared about was stopping her from executing her plan, because I knew if she sold the house, she'd take everything, our savings, our future, and whatever was left of our dignity. In the days that followed, I worked tirelessly with my lawyer to build a case. I was gathering more evidence, proof of her embezzlement, her plans to sell, and her financial deception. I also started looking into how to recover the stolen money. Turns out, because she transferred large sums into offshore accounts, it wouldn't be easy. But I had a good investigator on my side, and we were slowly tracing her steps. I knew she thought she was clever, hiding everything behind layers of shell companies, but I was determined to find the truth and make her pay. Meanwhile, Emily's attitude shifted from angry to desperate. She called me, begged me to drop the case, promised she'd make it right, and even accused me of ruining her life. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw through her games. I knew she was just trying to buy time, hoping I'd give up. But I couldn't let that happen. I had to stay strong, keep fighting, and protect what little I had left. The house was more than just a building. It was our history, our memories. And I wasn't going to let her walk away with it all. One night I stayed up late, going through all the evidence I'd collected. I felt this strange mixture of exhaustion and determination. Every document, every message, every bank statement reinforced what I already knew. She'd betrayed me in the worst way, and now I had to make sure she paid for it. I started drafting a detailed complaint to the court, listing all her lies, her theft, her plans to sell the house, and her attempts to manipulate the system. I knew it was a long shot, but I had to try. I couldn't let her get away with it. The emotional toll was heavy. I kept asking myself how I didn't see the signs sooner, how I let her get so far. The pain of betrayal was like a dull ache that never went away. And yet, amid all the chaos, I found a strange sense of clarity. I realized I was stronger than I thought. I'd been blindsided, yes, but I wasn't defeated. I was fighting for my life, for my dignity, for the future I still hoped to salvage. Every day now feels like a battle, but I'm learning to stand my ground. I'm not just fighting for the house or the money. I'm fighting to reclaim my self-respect, to prove that I won't be played or manipulated anymore. Emily's betrayal changed everything, but it also made me see what I'm truly capable of. I don't have all the answers yet, but I do know one thing: I will not let her win. I will see this through no matter how long it takes, because at the end of the day I owe that to myself, because I deserve better. The court date finally arrived and I knew I had to be ready. I had spent weeks preparing every piece of evidence I could gather: proof of her embezzlement, the plans to sell the house, the offshore accounts, everything. Watching her in court that day was surreal. She sat there trying to look innocent, tears in her eyes, but I saw through the act. Her lies had no place now. My lawyer laid out the case meticulously, showing how she had manipulated, stolen, and plotted behind my back, all while pretending to be the loving wife. When the judge finally made her ruling, it was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. The sale of the house was officially halted. Emily was ordered to provide full disclosure of all her accounts and transactions. She was also required to pay back the stolen money, or at least a significant portion of it, before any sale could proceed. It wasn't a perfect victory, but it was enough to give me some hope that I could still salvage what's left of my life. In the aftermath, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. The war was over, but the scars remained. I realized how deeply I'd been betrayed, not just by Emily, but by my own trust. I had loved her, believed in us, and in the end it was all a lie. But somehow I also felt a sense of liberation. I no longer had to pretend everything was okay. I could finally start healing piece by piece. I decided to move out of the house, not just because she was trying to sell it, but because I needed a fresh start. I found a small apartment nearby, one that I could call my own, even if it wasn't much. I've started therapy, trying to work through the anger, sadness, and betrayal. It's not easy, but I know I have to do it for myself, for my future. Emily's actions taught me some hard lessons about trust, about the importance of paying attention to the signs, and about the strength I never knew I had. I've come to accept that some people are capable of incredible betrayal, but I also learned that I am resilient. I can survive this, even if it feels like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Looking back, I wish I could tell my past self to be more cautious, to listen to that gut feeling, to never ignore the red flags. But I also know that I was blinded by love, and that's part of being human. Now I'm focusing on rebuilding, on finding happiness again, even if it's in small steps. I want to trust again someday, but this time with my eyes wide open. To anyone out there dealing with betrayal, whether it's infidelity, theft, or lies, know this: you're not alone. It hurts like hell, but you're stronger than you think. Take the time to heal, to rebuild, and don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. Trust is fragile, but it can be restored, starting with trusting yourself. And in the end, no amount of betrayal can take away your worth. You just have to find the courage to move forward.